Morning, folks. Coming to you from the shop. On the docket today, we got to swap the engine out in my 96 Cherokee. This has been long planned to do due to the numerous oil leaks in this very high mileage motor. Still ran great, but we were a lot of oil leakage from the valve cover, front main, rear main. So we'd already been planning on doing this. But I wasn't planning on doing it today. The other night, the crank damper disbonded on me, and we've dealt with this before on these Jeep 4 liters. I'll actually put a link to a video up here I did where I did a crank damper on a Grand Cherokee for it disbonding. So crank damper on this motor disbonded. Yesterday, we already did a lot of the prep work for getting this motor out, which involves pretty much removing the whole front fascia. The grill assembly, the radiator is out. If you want to know how to do that, I'm sure there's links on YouTube you can find for doing that. We just kind of got ahead of the game yesterday. We had some time and got that done. Most of this is going to be on a time lapse. We're just going to get to work on pulling this motor out. Probably do this in 3 videos. We'll do removing the engine, and then we'll do swapping parts from this engine to the replacement engine, like alternator brackets, intake exhaust, stuff like that. And then we'll do another time-lapse video of the install. As we go along, I may stop and point something out that we're doing, but for the most part, we're going to time-lapse this. Not a hard job to do, very time-consuming, because with the XJ, it's a very tight engine bay, so there's a lot of stuff that's got to come off just to clear the engine out of the engine bay. And with that, we're going to get started. Music on! right, so after a short break, probably the hardest part of this job is getting the E12 bolts off the top of the transmission that go into the back of the block. A lot of people will replace them with a standard bolt. In my opinion, if you've got the E12 sockets and the right tools, you just keep using the E12s. So here's how you get them off without doing anything weird like half dropping the transmission transfer case or removing a motor mount and lowering it down the front side to come in from the front. E12 socket, 3/8 swivel, and about 4 feet of extension. And you can snake this up over the transmission transfer case and get those top 2 bolts. Kind of takes, one person can do it, it's a lot easier with 2, so that way you've got one person to help you guide the socket onto the bolt and then pop them out. So when pulling the motor out of one of these and leaving the transmission in, you disconnect everything from the bell housing that attaches to the block or to the backing plate except the bottom 2 bolts. You leave those attached because you can get to those while the vehicle's on the ground. We have pretty much gotten this thing ready to pull out. We're about to lower the vehicle back down and finish a few things up in the engine bay, and then we're going to pull this engine out. And also when you're taking one out, don't forget to pull the flex plate bolts if it's an automatic transmission. But you get to those from the bottom as well. All right, so we got the motor out. Of course, the old motor's sitting here on its own engine stand. Our replacement engine is sitting on this stand here. So what I've got to do in our next episode, this is the end of this episode. On our next episode, I've got to move the motor mount brackets, ancillary brackets, intake manifold, and oil pressure sending unit. Unless I can find a new one somewhere, I think I may have one. And then onto this block, get a water pump thermostat housing installed on this, and then we can, and the distributor, and we can drop this one in. So that'll be the next episode. That's it for now. If you like this content, go ahead and like it, subscribe, hit that bell icon for future notifications, and as always, there's more to follow.